What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is building my Nissan Z, episode 6. So last episode we did install the Z1 traction arm, camber arm. Where's that? At the bottom. So traction arm, camber arm at the bottom. We also did front upper control arm for the Z1. This is the non-forged, so I do recommend you get the forged. As I said in the last video, I would have got the forged, but the Z1 just wasn't communicating with me when I was asking them what's the difference. But the difference is there's an adjustment, I believe, at the end, and you'll be able to adjust it without taking this off. But in order to adjust this now, it's like you need to loosen the nut and then spin it. So today's episode, we are finally bagging the car. So I already got the front suspension off because of the front upper control arm. We're gonna go ahead and pull off the rear and see how that looks first. And then we'll start prepping is putting Teflon tape. Put Teflon tape on all the fittings. So this is Air Demand. Pretty good brand. I've never had any issues. I had this on my Civic. See it? I got my seamless tank right here, 2 compressors. It does come with braided hardline or braided lines. And then, yeah, this is pretty much everything here ready to go. We'll see how this one mounts because there's a lot of play in the rear suspension. So first take off the rear suspension and we'll go from there. All right, so far for what I see, there's bolt right here, 1. We got 2 more up there. I'm not sure if there's a bolt on top of that, so I'm gonna loosen those 2 first to see, because I'm not really trying to take apart the inside trunk panel area. There's another bolt right here. So this one, hopefully I don't have to drop that bolt right there. So we will see. I'm gonna drop this one, and hopefully this one could just come down low enough for me to stick the bag in here. But I think that's pretty much it. So these big bolts are 17s. That one's loose. This side's spinning, so you gotta hold the other side down with a wrench. Bottom 2 bolts are loose. We're going for the top 2 bolts on the top. They're 12. Make sure you use a little extension. Okay, that's loose. I might just take it off all the way. All right, got the 2 bolts from the top of the shock off. It dropped down pretty low, so maybe there's nothing I need to access from the top. And let's just take this off completely. So, bolt off. Now we'll take this one off. Done. Just gonna hammer this down. Boom, it's off. See, that was my issue, so I don't have a compressor, spring compressor. If it doesn't come off, I have to loosen that side of the bolt to completely remove this whole thing. So I got the shock off. As you can see, there's nothing on the top, so it was just those 2 bolts. has a cover right here. Looks like it'll fit on the aftermarket one. See it? So I'll be removing that and putting that onto the aftermarket shock it came with. You guys can see it up there. Bam. Alright, let's try to remove that back bolt right there. It's probably tight because this is the tow bolt. I'm just gonna try to yank this off. Almost there. Oh, it's off. Whee! So, running into some issues after analyzing this. So, this is all that it came with for the rear, right? So, this is supposed to go down here as so, because air suspension will sit down like this, bolt and nut. Right, I'm supposed to remove this, put the fitting in here first, and then bolt it back up inside. But I need to get a thread for right here to thread up on that side, and then on top of that, this bottom plate doesn't fit under this because it's just too round. It doesn't sit flush. Should be the shape of this, and that's not round. Look how big it is. All right, so I just have an idea. So this is gonna go down in there like that. I put the original right here. Do you see that? I'm gonna drill right there. Since this base plate does not fit under there, I'm just gonna put a nut, washer nut right under it. I should have some bigger washers. So after I do that, this base plate is gonna go on the top like this. And how it's gonna stay is I'm actually bending these, you see it? I'm bending those to try to get this to clip in, and I'm gonna bend it right in it to make it hold in place. So the purpose of this is to for the back not to shift, and then if this gets threaded in at the bottom, the back's not gonna shift at the bottom. So no play at all. So basically it should sit like this. If I could get it to go. It's just I have to bend this on top in here so hard. So these holes right here, I'm on the inner parts, I'm gonna drill them with a unibit to make it bigger so I have more play. Alright, I got these all drilled up. Now let's try to fit this back in. So I got it all fitted. Bam. There you go. Bam. So it's in there. Everything's all held in. It's not going nowhere. Hammer these down and it should fit. Alright, so now I need to mark a hole for this one right here on the bottom. I'm just gonna eye it and then we're gonna work our way bigger right there. I'm just removing these tops of the rears. They're M6 nuts. I'm removing that. After I remove that, I'm gonna thread in the fitting right here and then put it back on. I got the fitting right here, so all you have to do is make sure you do about 3 or 4 turns of Teflon tape. Okay, so we're gonna put it onto the bag at the bottom. All right, we got this back on. Now let's just put this one back in, and yep, put that one back in. All right, this is in. It's all ready. Now it's time I'm gonna drill the bottom into the bottom over there. So the only downfall is if this leaks, you got to remove the whole thing and redo it, because you got to take out this top piece once more. So, alright, we're already drilling the hole. Started off small, gonna work our way bigger. Bam. So I already got both rear bags up So I went to Lowe's and I got me some fatter washers so I could put it right under. I put it right under here. So once it's all lifted up right here, it's gonna sit pretty flush inside right here. So now left over, I ran the line on the other side already. So I took apart the trunk. I found this grommet right here I'm gonna use. So I made a hole in the center of the grommet. I fed the whole roll of line down first. So I got it right here, and then I have the line facing towards the back of it. Right, if you can see it, right there. Let's see it, bam. So I have it facing down or towards the back, actual fitting line right here, you see it? Facing towards the back, that way it goes straight up into the grommet area. So I'm gonna cut this line, give it a little bit of slack. It's always okay to give it some slack. So tank is gonna be mounted in the back. Compressor, so it needs to reach the manifold. So probably something right there seems okay. And then make sure you're cutting with the wire cutters they gave you. That way it's a nice clean cut. Alright, so this is done. Now let's feed in another wire, and it's gonna go to the right rear side. Feed it in and I'll see it from the bottom. Alright, so I got this line fed in. You can see how it went straight across on the top, right? So you don't want to make it touch anything that's going to get hot and then possibly melt the wires. So it came straight across, and if you can zip tie it after so it doesn't move, that's good. And always leave some slack on it. I like these connectors so good because you could just slide it in here. They're not push connects. You slide it in here, and then this nut will tie in it. Alright, so I got the two rear lines up, so make sure you label them so they don't end up getting mixed up when you're running the rest of the wires. So this is labeled left rear, this is labeled right rear. Alright, both shocks are up on the bolt side. Now we just gotta jack this up and get all the bolts up on this side, and make sure you turn the dampening up on here. Usually about 15 clicks. It's a pretty good ride. So I used to ride all the way stiff, but 15 is, from my experience, is pretty good. Tricky part is getting these bolts back on. Sometimes you just gotta wiggle it so it's more straight and even. Goes in, give it a little bit of hammer. It's in. Alright, using the jack. See if we can get some clearance for the shock. Alright, see how I got the jack up here. Got it bolted up right there. So remember, if this is not low enough, then you have to remove this all off and readjust this and go lower, or so adjust it up, that way it's shorter. Everything is all bolted on. Same for the other side. Everything is bolted on. Even don't forget the nut at the bottom. Bolt that one. Everything's bolted. Now let's tackle the front. Alright, so before I put the fronts on, I was trying to figure out where I was going to run the wiring, so I removed everything right here. The windshield cowl, the cover, battery cover right here. So I found this. I opened this up. It is just a clip-on right here. But I made a slit right here, and this is where the two compressor lines are going to go through to connect to the battery. And if you can see, it goes right through. You can see the inside in there. Alright, we got one side all prepped up, Teflon tape all in right here. And then we got the fitting right here, Teflon tape. So the soft line is going to go in right here, which I already have run down here. So we want to plug it in, plug that in, and then pull the soft line up. The braided line is the one that's going to be inside the engine bay area. Alright, so this side is ready to be bolted on. This is already plugged into the soft line. We're going to pull that up, bring it through the firewall, down to the back of the car. I have this angle like this for a reason. So when you make a U-turn, right, this should end up right here, and when you turn right, this should not hit the back wall. So you gotta kind of like, I don't know, eye it, and also leave some slack, because yeah, when you're doing the turn radius, you don't want it tight to pull and then end up ripping. So right now I'm running the wire right under the grommet where the battery stays in its place, going underneath, in between on the sides, and then feeding it right through the grommet. And then we're gonna pull it from the inside. All right, we're pulling it inside. We just need to make it inside, and then we'll tuck in later. Pulling it inside, reach to the back, leave some slack, and cut it. All right, so we have a problem. It's still far from where the holes the bolt needs to go, and then jacked up all the way, the arm is already hitting on the top. So I'm gonna have to lower the thread on this to meet this one, whatever's the exact, and then see how that goes. All right, so finally got it in. It's kind of weird to me because there's so much thread right there. So I don't even know if it's gonna be low, but this is the only way I think you should be able to do it. And as long as you look in here and see the thread in the back, as long as you can still see the thread, that means it's still safe to ride on. So there's a hole right here to be able to see it. But now let's just put on the end link right here and keep going. Bolt on everything. All right, driver's side wire is ran. I fed it all the way under from the cowl going down. I took the clip off of this one, ran it through there, and it goes all the way down. And I'll put a zip tie right there to give it some play. That way it's not swinging down this way, and it'll stay close hugging this way. So when it spins, when you're turning, it'll be right. But everything else is bolted on. So just gonna trim this. All right, I'm feeding the compressor wires. So I taped it up to the airline to pull it up in between the grommet. So I'm gonna do that for both of them.
The next day.
All right, fam, this is day 2 with the air ride. I'm literally almost done. Let me show you guys the progress. So I got all the fittings all set up and ready. Teflon tape is on and everything. See, the Teflon tape is on. Let's get the fittings right here. So I'll put the water tank back here. These fittings didn't come. These are 1/4 males. 1/4 to 1/4 male. So I ordered these off Amazon. Just right here. Just because I didn't want the water tank loose. I usually have it loose and then like separate, but it's easier access to the water trap. Water trap. Just to drain the water from the bottom. Just a little button at the bottom. So this will go straight to T on the manifold. So you'll see it right here. So you can't really tell with the lighting, but so let's see. The left one says E. I always remember that as exit. So that's going to be a loose airline hose we're going to connect towards somewhere near the bottom. So that's the air out hose. So when you air out, all the air that comes out the tank will release from that side. And all of them are labeled T. T I put for trap, just how I remember it, water trap. And then everything else is labeled like front left, right front. So that's why we're labeling our airlines, because you don't want your manifold reading opposite side of the airline. So I labeled the airlines, make sure you don't get them mixed up. So same thing when you take it apart, always label them, because you don't want one side, you're going to air up the left side, but then it's the right side airing up because you put the lines wrong. So this is already all set. I got the compressor wires fed through the firewall. Everything's all ready. So power with the fuse, battery. So I'll go to the battery. Same thing, power with the fuse, 30 amp fuse to the battery. So right now I'm actually taking this apart because I'm going to feed all the wiring clean work. So no wires are ran through under the car. So you want everything ran inside the car. That way it's away from, the regular environment you're driving on and anything can get caught on. So I already unclipped all these. There is a bolt back here in that slot. I think it's a 10 mil, so I'm gonna need a 10 mil with a extension. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that off. I want everything tucked in, going into the back, and then it should feed all the way back here on this area because we can tank and the compressor. So that's why I got a smaller tank. I've had it already from before from my BRZ. Smaller tank and then the compressor. It should fit so clean. Compressor left and right, and then I'll have all the trunk space. All the tucking is done. Everything routes on the side right here, going up, and then I open this one to go down to the center, and all the wiring is in the back now. So time to clip these back on, and we could get to wiring this up. So I got the panels all put back together right here, like it never got taken off. So all the wiring's right there. So that's gonna be the end part. Now that I have that tucked, I need to tuck this. So this is for your controller, or the controller. How you're gonna navigate the bags. Then this one is gonna go to a power fuse. So the idea is you need to connect this to a fuse that only has power when the ignition is on. Alright, so I got the controller wire all routed. I just put it in the panels for now. Like tucked it in the panels at the bottom. So just let it loose for right now. And then I got the red power fuse wire ran through in from the back side, going through the bottom of the steering column. And then I got this one separate. So this doesn't come with it. They give you something similar with the 3 amp fuse. So let's see. So I got this one separate. Yeah, so it comes with a 3 amp fuse. They give you something else to use to tap into the fuse, but I like this better just because it's more efficient, I guess. You don't have to clip on the fuse and then stick it in. So I don't know why it's not focusing. Try to get this to focus. But anyway, so whatever fuse you take out, you want to put that in to this connector along with the 3 amp right next to it. So I'm going to try the power window fuse and see how that goes. Alright, we got the power fuse connected right there on the top, as you can see, and then this wire dangling, just zip tie it up so it doesn't get in the way of you pressing the pedals. Now the fun part, remove all the wiring out of there, put everything back. I'm gonna trace the carpet right here. For this, the top version right here, capping out somewhere like right here at the edge. That's what I'm gonna use to trace out template for the wood I'm gonna mount the tank on. So to give you an idea of the wood I'm gonna cut out, basically will end right here where this slit is. I'm gonna end it now I'll end it before. Yeah, let's end it right before it. So here's a little idea. Tank in the back, compressors will fit on sides. So if you have the original tank, I didn't use it, obviously it came with mine, but I already had the seamless tank from the BRZ because it was much smaller. Trunk is much smaller than the Z. But if you have the bigger tank, the tank will be the one that fit all the way in the back. That's it, and you would have to put the compressors in front of it. So this one, I wanted more trunk space, so great that I have the seamless tank already, and I'm gonna put the compressors on the left and the right. That way I still have this whole trunk space. Got it all up. stops about from right here to the edge to the end is about 11 inches, so match both sides. We're gonna cut it out with the jigsaw. Now we're doing a test fit of the board, and it is perfect. So guys, if you guys are going to use a jigsaw while cutting, make sure you use a wood blade and go slow. Let the blade do the work. Don't force cutting it, otherwise the cuts will be uneven. So if you don't force it, it'll come out more straighter. So everything looks good. We're going to mark the holes for the tank and the compressors, and then that's when we are going to drill it and then wrap the wood in fabric. Alright, so I'll mark my lines. So this would be roughly about halfway right here. So this is about 10 to 3 lines going this way, and the whole thing on the top end is about 46 1/4. So I just split that in half, and I got my middle line. So pretty much this is the position I'm gonna have it. So the compressor hose will go in like as so. So first we're gonna drill this, wrap the wood in fabric, then bolt these on, and then we'll start connecting everything in the trunk. Got some adhesive spray. This one is not as strong as the headliner one, so if you want something stronger, I recommend the headliner one. This is just the only one they had at Lowe's. So we're gonna go ahead and spray this down. Like 2 layers should be cool. Let it get tacky a bit, and then lay your fabric. Alright, the fabric is all done, stapled from behind, so if you don't have a staple gun, I do recommend getting one if you're doing any type of like adhesive fabric to like wood, I'd say. It just holds it better. You could easily put adhesive on this side, but it end up coming off. So, and then I got the suede on this side. Bam! Compressors are mounted up to the tank. So now it's time for the wiring in the trunk. Connect everything. Turn on the bags while it's still on the stands. Turn it on 100 psi and see if there's any leaks. Alright, so we know the power fuse is wrong. We know it. As soon as I plugged in the compressors, everything works. It turned on with the key off. So we know that I need to switch that up. But the air had filled up. So let me just put some air in these and see if there's any air leaks. So usually if it drops quickly within like 30 minutes, but like a few pounds is nothing. Like say overnight it drops like 1 to 3 pounds. That's nothing. That's like normal. So I'm just gonna put some air in here, and then we're gonna figure out the different power fuse. All right, so everything is set at 100 psi, and then the tank has about 148. So if that tank drops and it ends up refilling, there's a tank leak. So I think it'll start refilling at about like 142, 140. So, and then we're looking to see any 5 to 10 psi difference. So we'll let this sit. All right, we got the wheels all bolted on. Kind of already looks like the fronts might be too low, but one way to find out is drop it and see what happens. Okay, so we already know 100% the fronts are already too low. It has to go up like an inch or two. The rears, we haven't tested it out yet, so let's lower this and see how it looks. So we're not calibrating this yet. We got to raise the fronts, but now I just want to manually test the rears. So right here. Alright, so looks like the rears could go higher too. So that's about 40 psi in the rears for both. Alright, so next for adjusting, I think I'm gonna pull up this side. I think about maybe like 2 inches. 2 inches on that side and about an inch on this side, and then I'm gonna pull out the camber more this way. I don't know, I matched the specs, but it's cambering in, you can tell. Yeah, it's definitely cambering in.
3 days later.
Alright guys, this is like day 3, so man, I'm having problems with the height. So if you have non-airlift, you're gonna be experiencing problems like I am. So you just gotta, I'm trying to raise this up, that way it's like so low with a lot of PSI, like super low. So raising that up, but I'll tell you guys right now, do not get any upper control arm that is a tube design. Reason being because it is hitting this vertical pinch on the top right here. You see where I marked with the black marker? I'm gonna have to cut that middle piece off. That way the arm could go up more, and that way the ride could air out more. And then the bolt right here that's missing on that side, that bolt, I took it off, that way the arm doesn't hit it. I probably need to find a shorter bolt to put replacement right there. That's for the strut bar. I want to go ahead and cut this off. I got the angle grinder right here. I'm gonna cut it off. Maybe cut and like hammer it up or something. So let me go ahead and do that. And I've been adjusting this over and over so I can go higher. So as soon as I get this side done, then I can do the other one. All right, so I cut it. I made slits in it. So kind of like how you do when you cut a wide body up. So cut the ends, made slits in it, and then folded it in with a hammer. So now we should have clearance. Let's bolt everything up and see how this right front looks aired out. So I finally got this done. The other side is actually done. I did straighten out the camber, kept playing with it. Like I said, this one you have to remove it in order to turn the suspension on the top. So I do recommend getting another one. And remember, with the the tube style arm, you're gonna have to shave that top part so it doesn't hit. See right there how I have it folded in. So I do recommend getting the forged one. Do not get what I got. This is what happens when you just want to get the cheaper version. But I got that done, and then I was trying to figure out the thread right here. Look how much I had to adjust it so tall. So after doing research, the 370Z platform and the new Zs, they're the same, right? So with this platform, you have to extend the shock out in the front like as much as possible in order to get some height, because normally on the other cars you want to get rid of that thread, lower it so that way you're actually lower, and then when you air it up it'll be high. But in this case, when I had lowered it, it didn't even air up. Like 100 psi aired it up like a quarter inch. It was crazy. So I was still like low. So make sure when you're running slim bellow bags that's not airlift, make sure you extend this all the way. The goal is to push that suspension down. That way it airs up higher. So my ride height finally gives me about 1 finger gap. So I'm gonna put this all together, work on the rears, and show you guys the final outcome. Alright guys, we are finally done. Everything is torqued down. So the front is running about -1 degrees. So I had to do camber on there because the upper arm was hitting the frame, so it couldn't go lower. So I pushed it in to match it about -1, and it was able to go lower in the fronts. The rears, I added a 1.5 inch spacer. So it is like super tight, like the tightest it could be. So maybe when I get alignment, I tell them just to put like -2 on the camera, because right now it's about negative, I think -3 on both sides, something like that. So it's super tight, but that 1.5 inch definitely cleared a lot of it. So we're gonna get to calibrating the airlift 3P management right now. But first, you always want to do a test of your air outs. I already did that, but I'm gonna show you guys anyways of testing it, because when you do the calibration, it lowers, raises all corners, all different sizes, to make sure everything's all good. So the settings that you saw on the outside, this is gonna be my preset 110 and 85. So 110 front, 85 in the rear as far as drive height. So if I'm gonna air up higher, I'm probably gonna go up another, 10 PSI or 10 or 15 PSI. But let's go ahead and check out the fitment. So if we go ahead and just lower the whole rears, see? So rears are pretty much maxed. Now the fronts, I mean. So now the rears are really tight. You're gonna see right here. So everything's aired out. I was able to go lower than the fronts. I think that's about max on these bags. So still looks good to me. The rear is obviously lip to fender. And then the front, I am gonna add a 5mm spacer just to push it out and clear the little gap, because it has just a tiny finger gap right here. But you know, trying to get the fitment as good as what the rear looks like right here. Bam. So you can see how tight it is. It actually pushes the bumper out right here, but that's fine. We'll get a toe adjustment and see if they can camber it in just slightly. All right, so when you first turn it on, it's gonna ask you English. Yes, system not calibrated. So we're gonna go ahead and press the top button, calibrate it. Vehicle, is vehicle on level surface? Yes. Are front wheels straight? It's about, yes. Is vehicle and all wheels free of obstruction? Yes. Is your manifold mounted? Yes. Do you have 1 or 2 compressors? 2. Enable or disable stance guard. Just cancel that for now. You have height sensors? No. Vehicle ready to move? Yes. And now it's just gonna do its thing and just watch the car. And there you go. Calibration is successful. Go back. Now we can start setting some presets. So just hold down the middle button and it should go to preset mode. See it? I'm gonna set this as the preset 110, 85, and then that's gonna be the center. And then my high settings, I'm doing 120. Look at that. Doing 120 fronts. And then we'll do a 95 rear. Let's see how that looks. So that's about my high settings. That's pretty good. It kind of looks like it's like on lowering springs. So that looks good to me. Now this is ride height. That's about a 1.5 finger gap in the front. Almost about the same in the rear. So it looks pretty good to me. And the last but not least, air out settings. So I don't use the bottom button. I do my low one as like 10 PSI, 5 to 10 PSI front and rear. I don't know, from my knowledge, from learning this stuff, like keep some air in the bags. It'll increase the longevity of your bags. So that's what I do. I don't just zero it out completely. I just feel like it wears the bags more. So if that's something you want to do, go ahead. But yeah, dude. Finally done. Hopefully this helps you guys build your 2023 plus Nissan Z as far as air suspension. I just want to say thank you guys for watching, building my Nissan Z. It's been a crazy journey so far. I got a lot of stuff that I want to do to the car. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next episode. I'm out.